What's up, guys? You're now listening to Devo with Uncle Theo. Today is day 244, and we're in a new book. We're going to cover Ezekiel chapters 1 through 4. And you see, all that has been anticipated has come to pass now. Israel is partially out of the land. Ezekiel was taken and deported from the land with them. Now remember those three waves. Ezekiel was taken as part of the second wave in 597 BC. And since he is a captive too, he gets to speak from experience. People are clinging to the hope that God won't destroy Jerusalem like other nations. The first wave in 605 and the second wave in 597 has already happened. We're in the second wave. Now we know the third wave is coming because of history, but Israel anticipates this. But they don't know whether it is certain. So try to put yourself in their shoes. They have so many questions during these uncertain times. They're asking, did God abandon us? Is he still with us? Does he still want a relationship with us? Does he even love us anymore? Now, can you sympathize with questions like that? Well, this book is for you. This book is questioning God's presence. And the time that you will question God's presence the most is when you're going through a difficult and dark time. It was no different for Israel. So Ezekiel prophesies to Israel in the middle of exile to answer these questions. Did God really abandon us? Is he with us? Does he still want a relationship with us? Does he love us anymore? Let's put it this way. Isaiah is about salvation. Yahweh saves. Remember, we covered that. Jeremiah is about embracing God's plan. His plan to both pluck up and to overthrow, to build and to plant. Ezekiel is about the nature of God's presence. We need to know if God is still here and whether he still loves us. So we're going to break Ezekiel up through chapters 1 through 3, and we're going to hit 4 as well today. And in chapters 1 through 3, you get an opening vision, the divine commission of Ezekiel, and you get the first sign that God sets him out to do. So Ezekiel is born and prophesies between 593, 559 BC. He is what you would call a prophet of the exile, not one before or one after, but of the exile, during the exile. Now remember, the exile is called out by number in Jeremiah 25:11, that it will be 70 years. That's a very critical verse to remember as you're studying biblical history. The exile has begun. Ezekiel prophesies in the area of 596 and beyond. So Israel is questioning, will God judge us, Jerusalem, like those old wicked people in the northern kingdom? Or will God let us slide? Now remember, the big exile hadn't come to them yet. And Ezekiel is taken in the second wave. And the people want to know, will God really fully put us in captivity? But we've already studied Jeremiah 25:1 and Jeremiah 29:11. And we know that the answer is yes. Why? Because of what? Great is thy faithfulness. Because of God's faithfulness. I have plans to prosper you and bless you, but you will not avoid my plan. Because you will not avoid exile. You have to go through it. Don't say peace, peace, where there is no peace. Don't listen to Hananiah and the false prophets. Embrace my plan, Israel. Trust me. I love you. One of the realest statements from a parent doing non-abusive, loving corporal punishment, aka spanking, is what? Didn't I tell you not to do that again? Or not quit crying, or I'm going to give you something to cry about. It's my son, my daughter. I'm doing this because I love you. And this hurts me just as much as it hurts you. And that's our God's love during captivity. Embrace God's plan. Don't buck. He loves you. So we pick up here in chapter 1 where it says, now it came about in the 30th year on the 5th day of the 4th month, while I was by the river Kabar among the exiles, the heavens were open and I saw visions of God. On the 5th day of the month in the 5th year of King Jehoiachin's exile, the word of the Lord came expressly to Ezekiel, the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kabar, and there the hand of the Lord was upon him. Within it there were figures resembling 4 living beings, and each were straight forward. Where the spirit was about to go, they would go, without turning as they went. All 4 of them had the same form, their appearance of workmanship being as if one wheel was within another. They moved in any of the 4 directions without turning as they moved. Now above the expanse, there was over their heads, there was something resembling a throne. And on that which resembled a throne, high up, was a figure with the appearance of a man. Then I noticed from the appearance his loins and upwards something like glowing metal that looked like fire all around within it. As the appearance of the rainbow in the clouds of a rainy day, so was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell on my face and heard the voice speaking. Then he said to me, Son of man, stand on your feet that I may speak with you. As he spoke with me, the Spirit entered me and set me on my feet. I heard him speaking to me. He said to me, Son of man, I'm about to send you to the sons of Israel, to a rebellious people who have rebelled against me. They and their fathers have transgressed against me to this very day. I'm sending you to them who are stubborn and obstinate children. So we got this scenario. What is all this trying to communicate? Well, it's Ezekiel's 30th birthday, and he's supposed to become a priest. And it's kind of a bummer because he's in exile and can't fulfill his purpose. But I want you to know that God has an even greater purpose for him, even in exile. And so you see these creatures, they have 4 faces, and they're all going straight. And this represents the omnipresence of God. These creatures can get anywhere they want, which is why you see that description of a wheel within a wheel. They don't have to turn around and look to one side or the other. They can go wherever they want at a moment's notice, and they don't have to turn around to do it. And they can see everything at all times. And this is omnipresence. The wheel within a wheel represents a ball. And so that ball can go in 360 degrees. God shows them that because you're out of the land doesn't mean I don't care and that I'm powerless. I can get you to exile, and I can even get you back to Israel out of exile. My presence is like a wheel within a wheel, and 4 creatures facing in all directions. There is nowhere too hard for me to go. It's like a soccer ball. It can go anywhere at any time. So God is explaining his presence is mobile, it's omnipresent, and his presence is always with you. But it's not just mobile. He has an agenda. He has a purpose. And his agenda is for his glory to fill the earth. Remember Isaiah 6? His goal is for his glory to fill the earth. And this is another picture of that. God is answering Ezekiel's and Israel's question. Ezekiel, you are not alone. Israel, you are not alone. And in the last verse in chapter 1, when Ezekiel sees God in his majesty and his splendor and his holiness and all his glory, he falls on his face like a statue. Don't ever forget, this is the only response to a holy God. And in chapter 2, God says, get up on your feet. And Ezekiel, he can't. He's falling and he can't get up. It reminds me of a line that Steve Urkel used to use. But Ezekiel, just like a priest, represents Israel. Just like Jeremiah, the weeping prophet. He can't get up until when? Until the Spirit comes and enters him. And that's very significant. You see, the very first time in Old Testament language, the Spirit indwelling someone. Now, we have a similar picture in Isaiah. When the coal touches Isaiah's lips, you remember that? His sin was atoned for. That was a microcosm of salvation and what was needed to save God's people. This is another picture. This is what's needed to save God's people. They need their hearts circumcised. They need coal on their lips. They need to be sprinkled with water, and they need the Spirit to enter them. This is the only thing that can change them. Now think about that for a birthday present. Ezekiel, you don't get to become a priest, but you get to become a temple of the living God. Even better priesthood. How about that for a birthday present? So this picture becomes a symbol of how God's glory will fill the earth. He will do it from the inside out. And God summons Ezekiel to communicate this. And that's his call and commission in chapters 2 and 3. Ezekiel is to communicate that God must transform them. And they're not relationally dead because God has left Israel. It's because Israel has left God. And Ezekiel must convey that message, that they are dead, but God can make them alive again to himself relationally and bring them to himself again as he fills the earth with his glory. I want to simplify this for you. All we're going to see is Ezekiel exemplify that and display that in a variety of ways. So after the commission in chapter 3, you get chapter 4. Let me read some of this. Now, you son of man, get yourself a brick. Place it before you and inscribe it on the city. We start to see for basically 390 days, Ezekiel is going to be playing with dolls. But since he's a guy, let's call them action figures. So he's made this dirt city of Jerusalem laying on his left-hand side, and he's playing with these action figures, and he's about to depict that Jerusalem will be under judgment. And he has an iron plate between his face and Jerusalem. Now, why does he do that? Well, the iron plate represents a barrier. There's a relational barrier between him and Israel. This represents Israel's relationship with God, that because of their disobedience, God, in a sense, is not with them. And he's going to reiterate this after 390 days and then 40 days of lying on each side. And he eats what some people call Ezekiel bread. Now, why does he eat this? A lot of people think this is a special diet where They want to go buy this at Trader Joe's or Costco and Sam's Club to be healthy. This is not God diagnosing how to deal with health problems, which is why he says you must eat this over human dung. And Ezekiel said, I can't do that. That's not kosher. That's against what I've been taught or what you taught me. And he says, fine, you'll eat it over cow dung. And so remember, they're under judgment, and he's using the spare parts and scraps to make bread. The reason he's doing this is because this is the food of exile. He's showing the bread of siege conditions. Remember, when you're starving out a land, you have to scrap stuff together because they're starving out your resources. So Ezekiel is showing them, look, you'll be under siege, you'll be captured, and you'll be prisoners. And this is what your meal will be like. Judgment is about to happen, and it's going to be terrible, and it's going to even go down to the food you eat. And this is where we're wrapping up today. Ezekiel is showing them just how bad the exile will be. And in chapter 3, he was tied up, bound, and mute. And now he has an iron plate between him, illustrating what will happen to them. 390 days on his left side and 40 days on his right side. And he must eat unclean bread, the bread of exile. God is showing Israel how far down they will go. And we'll pick up with this on tomorrow as we walk into chapter 5. You guys take care. Have a good day.